And I'm back.
Good, because I had a pause point where I had to answer the door. There's a free-to-play game, Fable Legends, that is going to be an exclusive to the Xbox One and Windows 10, actually. So that was kind of interesting. Also, they did this really fun demo with Microsoft HoloLens, which is kind of their answer to Google Glass, where you can do AR type things. And for this demo, they actually basically put strapped a HoloLens onto one of the cameras so that people could see on the screens what one of the people doing the demo was seeing with the HoloLens. They had one of the person, a lady dev, by the way. There were tons of lady devs and presenters all throughout E3, by the way. So yay representation there. They had one lady who was on a Surface playing Minecraft, and then they had a guy who was wearing the HoloLens. First, he was playing Minecraft with a projected screen on the wall through the HoloLens, and then he goes over to a table and opens up the game world, kind of in, for lack of a better phrase, GM mode. If you were in D&D, you got an overarching view of the world. You can zoom around the world, zoom in to see what the players are, point out things that might otherwise go missed, so that you can help people who are playing in your world find things like hidden treasure troves and such. It was a really fantastic and awesome, truly awesome demo.
So I happen to know a developer who's actually planning to, he calls himself a developer anyway, who's planning to actually make the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game on the Microsoft HoloLens.
And as a side note, also, besides the AR technology with the HoloLens, Microsoft is actually partnered with Oculus Rift now. So
did they put a price on it?
They did not put a price on the HoloLens, unfortunately.
Mm.
Their last major announcement was that the original Gears of War is getting an Xbox One remaster. I don't think I got the release date for that. But they did have a release date for the next game in the Gears of War series, if you're into that series, being Holiday 2016. And, of course, that will be an Xbox One exclusive, because Gears of War is an Xbox One exclusive franchise. Moving on to EA, E3. Need for Speed, if you're a fan of that series, it looks a lot more realistic than it ever has. I mean, seriously, they've showed basically the opening cinematic of the game before you go out and start driving. And if those were CGI pre-rendered people in that scene, if that wasn't actually just actors that they filmed for that was... I couldn't tell if it was if it was CGI rendered people or if it was actually actors that they actually shot on video. But yeah, and of course the cars, if you're a car person, looked absolutely fantastic too. Fully customizable, spoilers, rims, paint, decals, all that fun stuff. If you're a player of the Knights of the Old Republic, there's new storyline content coming soon for free, and the expansion called Knights of the Fallen Empire. And it was basically, in their own words, kind of bringing back a little bit of that classic Knights of the Old Republic gameplay into the Old Republic MMO. An interesting new IP that EA introduced was called Unravel. and you basically play this person who looks like yarn wrapped around like a wire frame to look kind of like an imp. It is actually red yarn because the whole thing is about the conceit is that this is the red thread that ties people to their destiny. Is kind of the red string of fate trope type thing. Basically, what it is EA's Epic Yarn, except without like Kirby or Yoshi or recognizable. In a response to Nintendo's free content updates for Splatoon, introduced Plants. This was actually introduced in the Microsoft conference, but it is a multi-platform game. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, the sequel to the hit third-person team shooter game from the fine folks at PopCap, will have free content updates while it is being played to change up maps and gameplay and such every so often. So I guess that's kind of their way of answering the occasional Splatfest that Nintendo's doing with Splatoon. By the way, of course, EA has sports games. I know this shocks you all, but it is that is the way. Also, their PGA Tour series has been renamed Rory McIlroy PGA Tour, probably because Tiger Woods sucks now.
You done goofed when you lost your name, Brian.
Yeah. And jumping ahead a little bit, before they started talking about the latest edition of the FIFA soccer game series, they actually had an on-stage interview with iconic international football legend Pele.
Not bad.
Which actually was the first celebrity seen at one of the E3 press conferences, and until the Ubisoft conference, which we'll get to later, really the only one. But if you follow the NBA, you know that sometimes during the after-game press conferences, some of the players have very interesting fashion choices off the court, specifically Thunder's own Russell Westbrook. And the character creator for NBA Live 16, you can actually create your character very well in depth with kind of a facial capture system from a separate app, if I remember correctly. And you can even set up what his off-court fashion looks like. So in EA Live 16, you are truly getting the full NBA experience. Aside from, the gameplay and all that, you are truly getting the full experience because you get to have wacky off-court fashion. If you want, you can wear lensless glasses. Also, one last note on EA Sports titles. The latest edition of Madden is going to have kind of a fantasy football-inspired mode to it, where you can actually draft players for a creative team, including legends. In fact, they had one of NFL Network's fantasy football gurus on there demonstrating that, and he ended up drafting Randall Cunningham as his quarterback in the end. So, yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Also, they've done some tweaks to the gameplay on the around the three quote-unquote playmaker positions: quarterback, wide receiver, and defensive back. So.
Ooh. I have toasted my pizza a little too much.
Right. Last but not least, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is going to be released in February of 2016. If you ever played the original Mirror's Edge, this is the prequel to that. It goes through Faith's origin story. Also, Star Wars Battlefront looks freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
Rolling on to Ubisoft, hosted by Aisha Tyler of many things, including the more recent iteration of Whose Line Is It Anyway, and The Talk on CBS. She's on that show as well, alongside Sharon Osbourne, among other people. The very first game that they announced is another goddamn South Park game.
Dibs on Let's Play.
Which is affectionately titled, God help me for saying this, The Fractured Butthole.
Oh yeah, I got dibs on Let's Play of that.
Yeah, and it's spelled Butwhole, but of course it's like, haha, fractured butthole, shut up. Parker and Stone, just please take your show and quit. I know I'm going to piss some people off for saying this. I hate South Park. It is the dumbest shit. And it getting one game, okay, yeah, fine. Stick of Truth was supposedly a good game. Yeah, whatever. Now it's getting another one.
Family, I got a game on the Android.
Alright, some notable Ubisoft expansion packs. If you're a fan of the game The Crew, the expansion pack Wild Run is going to be available on November the 17th. Gives you more ways to, more places, more tracks to play on there. Also, if you've ever seen the game Trials Fusion, which is a very insane but really kind of fun and funny racer game where you can race on a motocross, ATV, or even if you so choose a BMX bicycle, depending on the track. There is a very interesting expansion for that coming July the 14th. It is called Awesome Level Max, and the trailer for it included a cat riding a fire-breathing unicorn. Need I say more? I believe this was announced also during Microsoft's conference. From the Tom Clancy Studios banner of games, there's new IP that it is kind of an open world cooperative squad shooter called The Division. Although it doesn't have to be a squad shooter. You can go out on your own if you so choose, but just know that you're probably going to be easy pickings for some of the assholes out there if you don't at least take a couple friends with you. It is going to be available for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Betas start in December and early 2016. The full game will be released on the 8th of March next year. Then we had a music break because Just Dance 2016. Jason Derulo. Also, apparently there was a mic botch because the mic didn't work at first. We mentioned that there were a lot of lady devs all throughout this conference for many of the various different press conferences. Also noted is that the much talked about game Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege has, for their solo campaign, the Rainbow team is being led by a black woman commander named Six, played by Angela Bassett. So, that's kind of awesome. Like I said, there is a solo campaign, though it can be played cooperatively, called Tarot Hunt. And of course, then there's also, you can have two teams working against each other, one working the defense side to shore up the defenses of whatever they are with their own objectives, and then the team trying to breach in and complete their own objectives while eliminating the other team. I've actually seen little bits and pieces of it before, so it does look like a pretty interesting game. Last but not least, the last notable one for Ubisoft is the new Assassin's Creed game. Ubisoft's kind of been a little hit or miss with Assassin's Creed game, but this one actually looks pretty interesting because, one, there are two protagonists, a brother and sister.
Ooh.
Two, they basically lead a street gang in Victorian England that are basically a group of vigilantes fighting to take back the streets of Victorian London. And three, there are going to be special detective missions involved, inspired by the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Mm.
Interesting, no?
Yeah.
Alright, moving on to Sony's E3 conference. For those of you who have played Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, you've known that for several years at E3 there have been teasers of a game called The Last Guardian, and actually it went quiet for a little bit of a while to where most people thought maybe the game was cancelled. And we got another trailer for it! Don't get too excited, we've been down this road before.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like The Last Guardian is still alive for now. However, this is actually the most interesting game that I've seen at any of the conferences in E3 so far. This makes me want a PS4 right here. An exclusive game for the PS4 set in a post-apocalyptic Earth that is not a desolate wasteland. Nope. Instead, basically all of humanity has... Well, not all of humanity, but most of humanity has died off. Civilization has absolutely crumbled, and nature has taken back over. There are streams full of fish, there are animals, there are flowers, there are giant robo-beasts. Wait, what?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this one sci-fi world builder called Orion's Arm. They actually had, at least for the human end of the post-apocalyptic world, nature just suddenly retake over through technology, no less.
Yeah, and in fact...
through one of the archaeologists known as Gaia.
Yeah, and I believe Discovery actually once did a speculative documentary once called The Future is Wild, where they actually had this kind of scenario. But most of the time that you see post-apocalyptic worlds, they're just... It's just a desolate wasteland. This is not a desolate wasteland. It looks fantastic, and you actually get to play as this female kind of Native American inspired hunter named Aloy. See what they did there? Fusion of metals. Who actually has to hunt and gather resources from this cyber fauna in order to keep her people alive while exploring the remnants of this world. It is called Horizon Zero Dawn. It has gotten completely buried with some of the other games that we're going to talk about, especially on this Sony conference here. It's kind of gotten buried, but I think it is the most interesting new IP out of anything that has been announced on this show. I want to see this game get all the love that it deserves when it comes out. I want a PS4 for this game alone.
I put it third behind Battleborn, and that's Super Mario Maker from Nintendo.
Hey everyone, this is David. Like what you hear? Check us out on the internet at casualmodepodcast.com, on Facebook at facebook.com/casualmodepodcast, any one of our social media links, and of course, click on the little subscribe button below. Thanks!